Here we go. Going live finally. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today is Wednesday the 6th. I think this is your second or third show. Yeah, you're back in the hot seat by popular demand. The Legal Eagle. People have been very impressed with the content that you've been doing. I've had private messages, so I thought it'd be great to have you back. Also, you're one of the leading lights on Branded by Women. If you want tickets for Branded by Women, go to brandedbywomen.com and get your free ticket. Yale will be there as well on the Mastery Day. Now, today, titled, we're talking about fighting hijackers on Amazon from a legal perspective, among other things. But for those who don't know you, do you want to give them a little bit of background on yourself, and then I'll start sharing to the groups?
Okay. So I'm originally a trademark attorney. I started working with Amazon sellers in 2015, end of 2015. So first I helped seller with IP issues. And then I started helping with suspensions. So today we are 11. What we do is almost everything is related to Amazon. Maybe 98% of my business is related to Amazon. And we handle IP registration, if it's trademark, copyrights, patent registration, things like that. And we handle suspensions, especially IP suspensions, but also other problems on Amazon.
Excellent. Couple of hellos here. Sorry, my mic may be a little bit loud. Could you turn your computer down just a little bit so you don't get feedback from me? Sharon says, who was on the show only yesterday with Kian, Yale is amazing. Hello from Singapore. That's from Silva. Roger Percy's here saying hi. Amit says Yale is absolutely the best in the field. Good luck. Just having a quick look to see who we got in the feed. Lee's just joined us. Juan's just joined us. Terry's in the feed as well. Okay, so shall we get into this?
Okay, go ahead.
Right, so let's go for the first question. What's the best way to fight hijackers these days, basically on Amazon from a legal perspective? Okay.
First of all, for those who don't know what hijackers are, Amazon is it's an open catalog platform. So there can be several sellers on the same ASIN. Now, a lot of clients ask me, how come there are other sellers on my private label? It's not possible. Why does, Amazon doesn't block them? Amazon look at your brand just like they look at Chanel brand, right? So on Chanel, you can see 40 sellers and they're all legit. So the same goes for private label. If someone tells Amazon that they sell the same thing as you, then Amazon will let them in your listing. So that's why we have hijackers sometimes. In many cases, it's someone who sells something similar. Okay, so if you're selling a bottle, a specific one with your brand, let's say it's the Danny brand, right? So the hijacker will sell the same bottle, but with a non-brand or just a generic one or his brand, and then the consumer gets something of lower quality or something that just not under your brand that you build with your reviews. The best way on Amazon today, actually the only way to do it under a legit way, is to have a trademark. So you have to register a trademark, and once you did it, you have all kinds of possibilities. You can go under the Project Zero that they launched this year? It's actually amazing. You file a complaint, and at the same moment they remove the hijacker. You don't need to wait for Amazon to review your complaint. They just remove it at the same time, and they watch you. Okay, so if you're removing people that should not be removed, you'll be kicked out of the program. I have people who were kicked out, and we fought to get them back, and it's hard. So that's Project Zero. Otherwise, there's the regular complaint that you file under the brand registry. You just go on the brand registry and you file a complaint against the specific one, and you remove that person. If you don't have a trademark yet, you should have like a killer letter to the hijacker. For those who want, I can share one. That's always. I mean, I guess it helps with about 50 to 70% of the cases, not all of them. Many of those sellers just hijacking, they will go away if you tell them. Not all of them.
Cool. Sorry, because I've just muted your mic just while I speak because they're still getting some background noise. Can we start unpacking that from the program, the transparency program, and right through to brand registry? Just so for the audience that are listening, if they're not aware of the program, let's talk about how that works. And one thing I want to say about brand registry, which is an advantage there, the support team is so much better on brand registry. And when you got stuff like this, forget seller support, go to brand registry. A lot of the stuff can be answered in 2 to 3 hours. They're a lot more responsive. And like what you said about the transparency program is that you can't abuse it. So if you start pulling people off of the listing for the wrong and illegitimate reasons, then you're going to get kicked out of the program. So let's just dial that back a bit and then want to just walk through and explain that step by step.
Okay. So I was referring to the Project Zero, which
Project Zero, yeah,
right, yeah. Which you remove the seller right away. But the transparency program that you mentioned is actually an amazing way to avoid hijacker from the first place. So what you do is you show Amazon that you have a label, your own label, your own trademark, and then Amazon, you have to buy specific like labels, stickers of your brand. And if the product doesn't have the specific label of the transparency program that relates to your brand, they cannot go on this listing from the first place. So they won't be there. You don't have to fight them anymore. The disadvantage of the transparency program is that you have to buy those stickers from Amazon, and the labels they don't cost much. And if you have a lot of hijackers, you should definitely do that. It's like brand gating. It prevents people from just jumping on your listing. But you gotta know that you need those labels everywhere. So if you're selling on Amazon and you're also selling on Shopify and on Walmart and anywhere, all the products should have the label. So you can't just use them for Amazon and on Walmart you won't use them. If Amazon finds out, you'll be kicked out of the transparency program. So it's a great way to avoid hijackers, but it costs money as opposed to the brand registry and the Project Zero.
Yeah, and what is your take with brand registry? How have you found, like, for your clients to deal with it as well? Just generally from the support from you get there, it's like a paradigm shift when it comes to dealing with the support there to traditional seller support.
I think that many people, even after the trademark, we find ourselves spending a lot of time explaining to clients how to file the complaint. And I think that at this stage, it's not that easy. People file complaint by telling Amazon, there's someone unauthorized on my listing. It's a hijacker. Please remove him. And then Amazon doesn't remove them. And so when you look at it closely, there are reasons why Amazon doesn't remove it. For example, and that's a very important tip if you guys file complaints with the brand registry, never use the word unauthorized. Never use it, okay? Just say it's a counterfeit or it's a hijacker or something like that. Never use unauthorized, because when Amazon sees unauthorized, they think about the gray market. For example, if you're Chanel and there's someone selling Chanel, and he's unauthorized, but he sells the original thing. He just sells it, through someone else.
In London, we call them snide goods. They fall off the back of a lorry. Yeah,
that's in the UK, right? So these parallel market sellers, Amazon does not want to remove them because Amazon says that's not infringing. That's actually allowed. We're going to get to it, but so if you use the word unauthorized, Amazon will think you're a brand who's trying to remove gray market sellers. They won't remove the hijackers. Never use that word on the complaint. Just write counterfeit, and Amazon will remove it.
Makes sense. Just a couple of more comments here. Owen says a different sticker for every unit. He's talking about the transparency program. Also says, hi all. Selva says, how to qualify to enroll for Project Zero. It seems a seller needs to meet a certain criteria.
Yeah, you need, your health must be good, the health of the account. Yeah. And it seems they don't say it, but it seems you need to sell for a while. I see that for new sellers, they don't get to the program. So I don't know how long, but it seems that you need to sell for some time.
Cool. Tiffany says, good morning. Andrew says, hello. Jamie Paris says, I hope I pronounced that, Jamie. You know, I'll butcher everyone's name. He says, hey, mate, Jamie runs the one of the biggest groups in Australia. It's very active over there and really good what they're doing. It's called the End Game Network. So if you've not heard of it, go to that and search that group out. It's very active. Lots of friendly Australian sellers in there. And obviously from New Zealand as well.
We like Australian.
We do. I do love an Australian. They get my sense of humour for sure. Number two, what can you do if you're suspended for trademark or patent infringement?
So, the first thing you need to understand is if you're infringing or not, okay? So if you get a notice that says you were suspended for infringing trademark number blah, 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 okay? Then you need to see if this trademark is actually on your listing. And if it is, you can actually change it. You can remove that trademark and go back to Amazon and say, listen, I'm sorry, I used that trademark. By the way, it happens a lot with the trademark Velcro. Do you know that? Did you know that's a trademark? Many people use it as like a generic term.
It's a bit like Hoover or vacuum cleaner, but Hoover is the brand rather than the vacuum cleaner. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So people use it as a generic term, and then they're suspended. So make sure, first of all, to avoid it in the first place, when you write your listing, make sure you don't use third parties' brands. Bluetooth is also a brand, so you need to, if there's a question. Then Google it, and you'll see in 2 seconds if it's a trademark or not. But so if it's a suspension of a trademark, you can easily fight it, okay? Because you can just remove it. If you put that trademark on your packaging, that can be a problem because you will need to remove the product, from the FBA and then remove the trademark and go back to Amazon, and they won't always allow it if it's on the packaging. The listing is easy. On the packaging, sometimes you'll have to go to the complainant and ask the complainant to remove it. But always remember that if you're not infringing, and that happens a lot on Amazon, you have a lot of suspensions for things that actually don't infringe. So if you have a suspension for the design patent, and turns out that your product looks different. It looks different than the patent. There are many differences. What you need to do is to have your lawyer write a kind of opinion explaining to Amazon why it's not infringing, and then you submit that opinion to Amazon, and Amazon will reinstate the listing. It's something that many sellers don't know, because on the suspension notice, Amazon actually says, please go to the complainant and try to find a solution and to get a resolution with the complainant. We will not reinstate it until it's retracted. It's actually not true. In most of the cases where it's not infringing, just by writing an opinion, we get it reinstated. So never give up. If you're not infringing, it should be reinstated, that way or another.
Yeah, makes sense. Just Henrietta says, good morning. Michael says, hello, Yale. Roger says, nugget right there, talking about previously what we were discussing with, or was it unauthorized, being careful with the use of that word. Dirk's got a question here. Do you experience how long it takes Amazon to react on Project Zero complaints? I have 2 cases ongoing for 3 days.
So Project Zero takes 2 seconds. In most of the cases, when you file the complaint, it should be removed immediately. If it's not, there's a problem with that particular account. Sometimes they found, maybe they think, Amazon thinks that you filed wrong complaints. But when it works, the Project Zero works very, very quickly. It works like in, 2-3 minutes, the listing is down. As opposed to the brand registry, which depends Amazon's backlog. Sometimes it takes a few hours, sometimes it takes 48 hours, really depends.
Dirk, do you want to give us a bit more meat on the bone in terms of what you've done there? Because I know you're waiting 2 to 3 days, but if you give us some more context, maybe Yael can answer the question a bit better for you. Yelchin says, guys, are any service in Europe as to getting a trademark from IP Accelerator? As you know, it's 6 to 9 months to do. We could go down to a month. Best wishes.
So I'll tell you what. So IP Accelerator, I said that the last time, and I think it's something that most of the sellers get confused. There's a difference between a trademark and the brand registry. So what happens is that if you register the trademark in the US, right now there's only Accelerator for the US. There's no Accelerator for Europe. Maybe there will be. We're actually discussing this with Amazon, and we hope it's going to happen soon. But you don't need to have it, because if you have a trademark in the US and you filed it through the Accelerator, you can file the brand registry in Europe as well. So if you want the EBC, if that's what you're interested in, you'll have that once you have a trademark anywhere. Okay, so US or Mexico, or even I think even China, France, Germany, wherever Amazon is, that's enough to have the brand registry anywhere. So that's the brand registry, as opposed to enforcing. Okay, so if you have, going back to the hijackers, if you want to remove a hijacker in Europe, you need a trademark in Europe. If you want to remove a hijacker in the States, you need a trademark in the States. It doesn't help you that you have the brand registry. You need a trademark in that country, because that's the law. The law talks about protection in the particular country where you registered. The fact that you filed it is not enough. Okay, Amazon wants to see that you actually got a registration, and once you do, they'll enforce your rights.
Yeah. Roger mentions here that accelerators accept a trademark when it's pending. He's also gone on to ask the question, may I ask the best approach for a variation abuse on lines without brand registry? I have a UK rights on a US brand.
So he has UK rights on the US brand?
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Can you post the question?
Yeah, let me just put it up here on the screen.
Yeah.
May I ask what is the best approach for variation abuse on lines without brand registry? So I think he's wholesaling here other brands, but he doesn't have
abuse on lines with brand registry. I have UK rights on the US brands. Variation abuse, because variation, is he talking about variation on the
like child variations on parent-child configuration? There must be a variation that's being abused. Maybe someone's attacking the listing, or they're changing the title or the photos or whatever. Yeah.
Without brand registry, if there's anything you can do. When you don't have brand registry, anyone can temper your
exactly.
your mess with your listing at any time. That's one of the reasons they started the Accelerator. I know, not only because of hijackers, but mostly because of that, of those abuses, so that you'll block it, you'll have the brand registry, and nobody can change it. Without the brand registry, as far as I know right now, you can't avoid it. There's nothing you can do. Just report to Amazon. That's it.
A little tip for people that we've seen vendor burner accounts abusing listings where things have been changed, like titles, etc. The thing to take into consideration, and I think it changed last year. I was stand corrected on this, but once you've got brand registry, you then have the catalog contribution, so you haven't got to worry about people changing your listings. But prior to that, what it used to be is that a little thing what you should do is, and you can use this as an exercise just in case you get flagged on your listing, it gets suspended for certain keywords, is to run a listings report. You may need to contact Amazon, raise a ticket, request a listings report, so that puts it into Seller Central. When you download that report, you're able to take a look at everything's on your listing. If there is bad words in there that were added, like injected into the listings, then you're able to remove them. Fill out as much detail on the listing report as possible. So on your listing, from the listings report, and anything you can't complete, just put a period, like a full stop in there. Then that way is the next wave of protection. But I think that's all changed anyway since last year. a guy reached out to me and said, look, that doesn't matter now because you've got brand registry. But that, what I'm trying to do is give context to the information there, that if you don't have brand registry, that's the abuse you can go through. And it doesn't really give you legs to stand on. Henrietta says, go on, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, one of the common, that reminds me, one of the common misuse that we see all the time, and now it kind of stops, it's changing the brand to a registered brand. Like you go on an old listing that nobody uses, you change it to your brand that's registered, and then you remove everybody from the listing. So right now it's not possible anymore because Amazon sees that you change the brand. And now they won't allow it. They'll remove you if you do that, actually.
So what you mean is someone looks for a dormant brand without brand registry, and they think, I'll take that listing on. They'll see if there's any relationship with those reviews, then take over. They're called zombie listings. So you take over a zombie listing without brand registry to then take on those reviews. So you might end up having like I don't know, dog supplement reviews, and then you've got these lightning cables. You've seen it on Amazon, but I think, they're trying to put a stop to that. Henrietta says, I'm in the transparency program, just doing my onboard call this morning. Would you think that helps a lot? Yeah, it helps a lot. The transparency program is game changing, I think, for those who have the hijackers all the time. You know, I had people on Christmas in the morning, they never slept, on Christmas or on Black Friday. They did not sleep because they had the hijacker. Every time they went to sleep, the hijacker comes on the listing, and then they remove him, and then he goes back, and then they remove him. And when they slept, he was there. So, now the transparency actually solved that problem. For those who had a lot of problems, that's great. It costs money, as I said, but it's worth it. At least you can sleep. Yeah, exactly. Dirk came back, says, I have 3 hijackers from China and found out about Project Zero. I filled in the case and it says under review. It also says you need to qualify by having at least 90% successful complaints. Maybe the problem is because there are 2 of the first ones. So he's submitted 2 or 3 in a row and he hasn't got a percentage because not one of them's been resolved yet. Yeah.
What we do at the beginning, I always advise my client to start with just one. Wait until it's resolved and it's accepted, then do the second one and the third one, and just at the beginning go for those that you absolutely know it's a hijacker and it's infringing. Never go for something that's questionable. If it's an unauthorized seller, that's not counterfeit.
So don't sign up to the program just to steamroll. It's got to fit the remit, or you will it'll backfire on you. Joe says, hello all. Silver's back saying 90% successful complaints. Sellers have to take some pain for some of the time until you qualify. So without complaints, we cannot enroll. Strange.
Yeah, you can, if you file, I think that there's also a relation between the brand registry and the Project Zero. I think they also look at how you were on the brand registry, because I have a client who filed a lot of false complaints on the brand registry, and it didn't work out on the Project Zero. So they kind of look at what kind of seller you are.
Karma caught up with them, did it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yelchin, okay, so thank you very much for the previous question and information. To kick out hijackers, should we get trademark each EU countries where we like to sell in Spain, France, etc.? Can't they use the Madrid protocol and get that? If we have brand registry and trademark in the UK, can we use it to protect our brand in Spain and France? Thanks again.
I like that you said Madrid protocol, Danny. Yeah. You learn fast.
Well, I looked into it a while ago because that covers the EU, doesn't it? The Madrid.
So to answer first the question. So the cool thing about Europe is that right now you have one registration in 28 countries. So you can file. You can also file in France, and you can file a trademark in UK and Spain. But instead of doing that, you pay much less by one registration in 28 countries, and then you covered all 5 countries where Amazon is active, and you also have a trademark in all other countries of Europe. if you ever sell there. So that's the best way to go about it. It's really not expensive. It's not like going to 28 countries and paying for each of them like $1,000 or something. It's much better. And that
helps. And that helps when the rollout to like Poland's coming soon. They've just done in NL for not what's it called? Netherlands. So with the rollout, with the rollout to the Netherlands, so if you're in the Madrid protocol, you're already covered. Then you can go country by country, and you haven't got to worry too much because that's stipulated where it covers it all.
So the European registration that I was referring to is not the Madrid protocol. It's called a European registration, but the Madrid protocol is something else that's also amazing. If you have one registration, let's say you're American and you're registered in the US, you can file an international application through the Madrid protocol. And then on that application, you just mark, I want Europe, I want Russia, I want China, Japan, and Australia. And for each of them, you just pay the official fee.
Right. So I mixed the two up. So there's the EU program, which covers the EU 28 countries.
Exactly.
The Madrid protocol is just like a compressed version where you can tick boxes for each territories in and outside of Europe. Okay.
Yeah, and you just pay, instead of paying a lawyer for each country, like one for Canada, one for Australia, you just file one application, you pay just the official fee for each of them, and you save a lot of money. If everything goes smoothly, that you pay a lawyer just once for the application, then that's it. It's great if you're going to file in many countries. If you're a large seller, you should definitely do it through the Madrid protocol.
Cool. Right. Should we move on? Should we talk about selling brands like Nike? This is an interesting one because that's changed over the last 18 months or so.
Yeah. So, I'm asked a lot if you can sell brands, third parties brands. So there's the legal part and there's Amazon. Okay. Amazon gates some of the brands. So if you can get them ungated, you can start selling. But the question remains, is it legal to sell Nike shoes if Nike never authorized you to sell them? And the answer is actually yes, as long as the shoes are genuine and they're not counterfeit. Okay, so if you bought the shoes from, let's say you bought them, Danny, from the official distributor in the UK. Okay, so you bought them from the distributor and then you send them to Amazon FBA in the US and you start selling them. That's actually allowed according to the first sale doctrine. This doctrine says that once Nike sold it once to Danny, okay, because you paid for it and Nike actually got the money for it, right? I mean, they paid, the distributor paid for it, they got the money for it. So once there's one sale, okay, once they got the money once, that's not infringing. These are the original shoe, and that's not considered trademark infringement. Sometimes there are, of course, exceptions to that doctrine. So if you're selling something that's, they call it materially different. If at the end you're not selling, let's say you're not selling the last version of that shoe, okay? You're selling an old version, then that can be misleading consumers and that can be infringing. Or you're selling something without the warranty that people get. So if it's materially different from what they would get from Nike, then that could be considered infringing. Otherwise, it's not. And that's something that many brands don't know. They come to us every week and they ask us, can you remove all the sellers that sell our brand that they're not authorized? I'm sure it's, one click and you remove them. Technically, if I file a complaint and say that they're infringing, I can remove them in one click, but that's illegal because they're not infringing. It's not copyright. It's not trademark infringement. So just, to clarify, you can sell third parties brands as long as you're absolutely sure that your distributor or your supplier is legit. As long as if Amazon comes to you and asks you for the invoices will convince Amazon that it's legit. If you show them, for example, I have clients who buy Adidas shoes from the street of the UK, okay, from a small shop near the center. That one probably it won't convince Amazon that it's original. So if someone ever complains, even if they're original, if someone ever complains, you'll show the invoices and Amazon will say, what is that? They don't even have a website. There's no phone number. I cannot know if it's infringing or not. We're protecting the platform. You're out. And you can't be suspended for that. They can remove your entire selling privileges. So, you need to make sure not only that the shoes are original, but you need to make sure that your supplier is verifiable. That's the word Amazon, says all the time. They're obsessive about the invoices. They look at the website. They look at the number. They look if the website is new, when it was registered, if it's secured, if the website is secured or it's just a Wix website. They call the number sometime. They go verify. They check on archive. Do you know Web Archive?
Yeah.
The website.
Yeah.
They look on the archive to see if this website existed a year ago or it was just created for the invoice. So they really check your suppliers. So you need to make sure that you're covered with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tiff said this is much needed with the trademark issues, etc. Help fighting someone trademark claim right now. Roger says a lot of sellers are registering trademarks now in China as well as their home territory. Any thoughts as to why would it be worthwhile?
If it's worthwhile to register in China?
Yeah. Well, the reason is we discussed this before, isn't it? Because of people leveraging. If you've got a branding and a Chinese company sees it and you've not got a registered trademark, without that trademark, you can't get your goods out of the country. So what they end up doing is bribing you or, extortion. You've had to do something. Do you want to quickly go over a couple of your extortion cases?
Yeah, we had many of those. So they file the trademark. They send you a letter. You get a letter from a law firm saying, we're a law firm dealing with trademarks. We found out that your trademark was filed by someone in China. If you want to oppose it, we as a firm can help you. That's what you'll get in your email. And then if you check, you'll find out that it was indeed filed in China. And if you approach the person who filed it in China, they'll say, I can sell it to you. It will cost you $6K or $10K or something like that. So you have two choices. You can file an opposition with the Chinese trademark office and explain that the trademark was hijacked, that you're the owner. You can show, in most cases, those guys have been doing that several times. So you can show that it's a hijacker that has been there and has done that in the past, so it's in bad faith, and you will win. Or you can buy the trademark from that person. Sometimes it's cheaper. It depends on the negotiation. It's really frustrating to buy a trademark from someone who did that. But you have to decide which one is more effective and which costs less, I guess.
Well, no one likes to be leveraged, do they? So.
Yeah.
So, so if you've got a 7-figure business and it's going to cost you 20 grand, sometimes that people bite the bullet, but it's the bitterness around it, isn't it? Being leveraged like that, you feel violated.
Yeah.
Let's talk about new patent evaluation process. Yeah.
So that process, until recently, if you have a utility patent, so there are two kinds of patents.
Should we break that down quickly? What utility versus the design? Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the design patent is a design, it's a patent that covers a specific shape, right? If you have a specific shape of a bottle, you'll cover, that specific form, and that's protected by a design patent. A utility patent is the patent that we all know. It covers the technology, let's say.
The functionality.
It's usually broader, not a specific shape, but, a kind of idea. I don't like this word because it's not true in terms of IP, but, it helps people understanding. So it's usually broader than the design patent. Now, until recently, if you had a design patent and someone infringes it, someone uses the same shape, that's easy. You file a complaint. If it looks the same, the guys at Amazon's IP department, they compare. They see photos here, they see the listing here, they compare. If it looks the same, like the game we had when we were kids, like compare the differences. If it looks the same, Amazon removes it. With utility patents, I don't know if you ever saw one. It's horrible to understand. I mean, regular people, the layman person will never understand a patent. It looks like, there are like 5 claims, okay? So if I don't know, if you have a registration for a table, so you'll see like a claim that looks like a board with 4 legs and 4 screws, okay, screws. So that's a utility patent. And for Amazon, it has always been very difficult to understand if it's infringing or not. And usually they remove it. And when you go back to Amazon and you send them an opinion, just like we do with trademark and design patents, we say, hey, it's not infringing. Look at the claims. They are different than what we do. Then Amazon doesn't know how to reinstate it. So we had many, many cases where, patent owners just filed a complaint. The listing was removed. It is not infringing in any way, but Amazon killed it. Amazon just removed it, and there was nothing we could do. So we had to go to court and get the court to tell Amazon to reinstate the listing. We had several cases like that. It took a lot of months, and it can kill the product. It can be irrelevant by the time you finish. So now Amazon started with that program.
People use that as a tactic, don't they, as well, to take out the competition?
Yeah.
So that brings it off the shelf, because ultimately Amazon will shoot you in the face first and then ask questions later. And people know that. Yeah. It's true, isn't it? Yeah.
But, we had cases where the guy, I don't know if I should say it because people could use it, but, we had cases.
Don't.
I won't say it.
Don't say it. If it's gonna be bad karma and people use it for bad, then let's not share that bit. Sorry, guys.
Let's not share that. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and it can happen till today. But going back to a good thing that Amazon started, that's the evaluation, neutral evaluation program. So what happened is that now, if you're a utility patent owner, you file a complaint against several people. Now, what happens is that, let's say I file a complaint against Danny, okay? You get, I don't pay, sorry, I used you the whole day, you're a hijacker, you're everything.
I'm the hijacker, I've got Nike on, I've got my own branded Nike shoes and everything. Yeah, go on, sorry.
At least you didn't do what I was about to say.
Yeah, please, yeah.
So let's say I filed, I have a patent, I filed the neutral evaluation against you. You will receive a notice that says, Danny, Yael filed the patent evaluation process against you. Now you need to deposit $4,000, okay? If you think you haven't infringed, please deposit $4,000. Then Yael, the complainant, will have to deposit $4,000 as well. These $8,000 will go to an evaluator. It's someone that is, unbiased and that will review the cases. I will submit my case. You will submit your case. You will explain why you're not infringing. I'll explain why you are infringing. And then the evaluator, who's the kind of judge, will tell you within 2 months, it will all end. It will tell you if you're infringing or not. Now, the whole time, you're still online, you're still selling. So that's the good part, because you're not removed until the person said you're removed. Now, if you haven't deposited the $4,000, you will be removed. Okay, so that's, that's something that can be used. That's, the weak part about it is that if I'm the patent owner and I have the money, I have the power, and you're a small seller, I can file a complaint against you. And if you don't deposit the $4,000, you will be removed just because you don't have the money to fight it. So, that's the weak part. That's the weak part. By the way, if you win, you get back your $4,000. Okay, so that's, that's a good part about it.
Herb's asked an interesting question. I'll just jump in here because we'll get to the next question.
Sure.
So if a competitor kills a listing as a tactic and it's not an infringement, could we sue them for loss of income? That's a tough one, but you can, can't you? You've got to prove it.
Yeah, you can. You need to do that in court. It costs money, but there are several sellers who did that, and yeah, they were paid back. And I'm glad that from time to time, it's very rare that the client decides to go all the way and fight it. But I'm glad when they do, because then brand owners that misuse their rights and remove unauthorized sellers who sell legitimate goods. They hear about it and then they're careful. So, I like when people do that, but it definitely takes time and effort and money.
Yeah. Cool. Should we talk about when you design a new product, how we can protect it?
So there are, several kinds of products. It depends of your product, but generally speaking, there are three ways to protect it. If you design something with a kind of graphic design, let's say a paper plate, there are a lot of sellers who sell that, or something like that, or a balloon or party supplies or things like that, and there's a nice graphic design on it, then first of all, you're protected. As I said last time, you're protected the minute you form that graphic design. So even if you didn't register anything, if you design a graphic design on a paper plate or on whatever, on a t-shirt, you're protected. You don't need to register anything, and you can remove someone who used your graphic design. If someone, if you guys need, I can send you an explanation of how you do it. It's super simple. And the same goes for a photo. Okay, just reminding, if I stole Danny's photos, Danny can file immediately a complaint against me and remove my photo from my listing. You don't need a registration for that. You can register if you want, and if you intend to sue in court. Okay, so if you want to not just remove on Amazon, but sue in court, you need a registration of a copyright, even for graphic design. So that's for graphic designs. Now, if you design the product with a particular shape, okay, you have, if there's, I don't know, pick a product, jewelries or a ring, okay, let's take a ring. If you have a specific shape of a ring, you can file a design patent. We discussed it previously. A design patent protects the form of your product, the shape of the product, and that's actually something that many sellers don't know. It's not expensive at all. And it takes, it can take between 6 months to a year if you expedite it. And then you get an IP, a registration for the protection of the shape of your product. And nobody can take the shape of your product and just, put another label on it and use it. You can then remove them. It takes some time, but you need to remember that, and you need to do that before you publish your product. Okay, so remember to do it. In the States and in Europe, you have a year of like a grace period to register it, but it's better if you do it before you publish it. Okay, so remember, you formed something, you created something, consult with the lawyer, he will tell you, but basically you can 99% chances that you'll be able to register and protect that particular shape.
We'll come back around to this question, but this is one. So when someone is selling my product using my images on another Amazon platform, I think they are drop shippers. Do you want to quickly address DMCA?
Yeah. So, the DMCA is the law behind all those complaints. So when you file especially a copyright complaint, the law that you would be using is the DMCA. That's the law that, actually forced Amazon to create an entire platform where you can file easily a complaint and then they remove it, etc. Now, as I said, here in the question, it's someone using the images. I hear images, I think about copyrights, okay? And as I said, if someone is using your images wherever, if it's in the US, if it's in Europe, if it's in Mexico, you can file a copyright complaint for that. All you need to do is to put a link when you go on the copyright complaint form. Just Google Amazon copyright complaint form. You'll get to the form, and then what you need to do is to include a link to your listing to show that you had that image before, or even link to your website, whatever shows that you had that image before. And Amazon will remove the image, sometimes even the entire listing, and even if it's on another platform. I gotta say that you need to think if you want to remove dropshippers. Sometimes they just sell your product and they're not hurting anybody because it's not infringing. And you need to make sure that the images are not linked to yours. Okay.
Do you know the best way to deal with dropshippers is adjust your price? No. I done this I did eBay for a while. It was just a nightmare, and we just gave up on it because it just didn't work for our products here over in the UK. All we had was people ripping off our listings and listing on eBay. So I had brilliant converted into Chinese and English as well. So for the main people that were drop shippers, as quickly as the listings were going down, they'll come back up. Do you know the fastest way of getting them?
What did you do?
Just set the same price as what's on Amazon. There's no margin for them to make any money. Overnight, they're like that because they don't want to sell their product to that price and then lose money because they can't buy it from my listing. So just match your pricing and gets rid of them because there's no margin.
If you change the price, they can change it back.
No, what we're saying is if if they're buying off of your Amazon listing and then using their FBA to ship to the customer, right? So
you elevated your price.
So if you're selling something on Amazon for $12.99, but you're selling it on eBay for $16.99 because generally you put the price up or whatever.
Yeah.
They've got £4 to play with, right? They're not holding on to the product and they're illegally using their Prime account. So what you do is you just price match and there's no margin to work with. Otherwise, they will be sending in fake goods because they don't have your product.
But do you do it for several days? It can hurt your sales to mess with the prices, right?
No. You're changing not the Amazon price. You're changing the price on the other platform.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to sell them on eBay, let's say you sell $12.99 on Amazon, and they want to mark up the price, then you make it so that it's not worth it, so it's cost prohibitive for them. So I found like it disappeared overnight. The only ones that stayed up, and a lot of it comes down to software as well. They use software, so they'll check, they'll go onto the website and check it and realize it's no longer viable for them to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Idea. But not all the private labels want to remove dropshippers. Sometimes it helps.
Yeah, that's true. Denny says, let's assume I find a niche and getting ready to go for it, but I've no way to know if it's going. Hold on, it's gone up the screen. No way going to be successful. I'll bring it on the screen because they were getting more questions come up. Let's assume I find a niche that's getting ready to go for it, but I have no way to know if it's going to be a successful one. Will you recommend me to get the trademark for protection anyway, regardless? Yeah. So basically it's a punt that you take, isn't it? If it's going to take a period of time, you're looking to research a market. Part of your risk is to spend money. So
Right. So it's part of, it depends. I mean, many people say that you should, wait to file a trademark until you have 20 sales a day or something like that. But the problem with that is that the trademark takes time. It takes 7 to 9 months. And if you wait until you have the sales, then you're going to go crazy until you have the trademark. So I think that most of the sellers these days don't wait. They take the risk. Most of them feel that they're going to win, they're going to sell their product and it's going to be amazing. So a trademark is part of it. And, worst case scenario, you have a trademark. You can also sell it to someone else in that niche. So it's not that bad.
Yeah. Just go back to Herb's question. He says, Danny, but if I increase my Amazon price, no, you don't change your Amazon price. You change your price on eBay is what I was referring to, because they're buying from Amazon using their Amazon Prime account, which is illegal, which is part of the takedown letter I would put in there. And just hope you realize that you will lose your Amazon account by using Amazon Prime to send this product. So it was a two-step process, but you just adjust your price on eBay. So when the listings come up and there's like a dozen, including your listing, people are going to buy the cheapest one. So they're not going to buy the one that you've got listed on eBay at the same price as at Amazon, because they're not going to make any money on it. So it becomes pointless. There are, as I said, we'll still have listings up. Stephen says, after I file an image copyright complaint against the seller and Amazon removes the image, do I have to remove the complaint after that?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I forgot to say, if you ever get, as opposed to trademark and design patent and patents where you get a complaint, you need to file opinion, etc. With copyrights, if you ever get a complaint for something you haven't done, okay, but just copyrights, I'm talking about copyrights. If you got a complaint for copying a graphic design or a photo where you haven't done anything, it's your photo, you can file a counterclaim. That's something many people don't know. And a counterclaim, what happens is that the minute you file it, the complaint will get a notification saying, if you don't file a lawsuit now, the listing will be reinstated. And now the complainant, if he wants to proceed with with that fake complaint, he now has to file a lawsuit with court. So in most cases, with the false complaint, they won't do it. So if you ever face, a seller, an abusive seller that files false complaints against you for copyright, remember you can, fight it by yourself by filing a counterclaim.
Yeah, there's quite a long message here from Juan. I've just switching. Yeah, I've switched to my page here. I'll put it on the screen, but your face would disappear. Yeah, look.
Yeah, fine.
Can you read that? But it's still at the bottom. It's still extended. So I'm going to read it off my Facebook page. It says, if you don't mind, to get off topic, can you ask a few questions? One, how can I, as an importer, represent exclusively a European company in the USA and use their European brand registry? Two, is there any way to keep away sellers from other parts of the world out of Amazon USA? And three, as an importer, is there any clauses that you recommend to include in the contract to protect myself from the European company coming a few years later and asking me to take listings and after I've done all the previous work? I'll answer the last one. That's going to be coming down to your relationship. This is the thing, and this is why I've looked into this and spoke to many people about doing this. But the problem that you find is amnesia, right? So let's just say I would say to someone, okay, you're a brand new business. I'll use all of my experience, PPC background, technology and everything else. Let's grow your business. I'll sell your product for you. Once it gets to the point is that if you could actually work for nothing, they forget when they hit 100 grand and suddenly they're writing the checks are a bit larger rather than the McDonald's wages in the very beginning. Suddenly the amnesia kicks in and they don't need you anymore and they bring it in house. And there's not much you can really do about that part of the question because it just comes down to trust. So I would say that there's not much, a contract is only as enforceable as willing as the person is to enforce it, right? So you could have a great contract, but do you have the money to fight it? And let's just say you've worked with these companies because you didn't have cash flow. Therefore, you built their business for them and you worked on a percentage. You've actually created enough cash in their business to employ better lawyers than that you can afford because you're the one who's on the percentage. So generally with these kind of deals, you find that when you've grown other people's businesses and used their cash flow and their skill sets and everything else, because they're obviously taking a risk, but you're guiding the ship, is that you work on a sliding scale of percentages. So let's just say at the very beginning, you took them from 0, 10% in the first month is fuck all, but 10% on 100 grand is 10 grand. And they're not going to be like to write those checks, right? As you get to that stage, because of, when you looked at the average margin of the business and everything else is a healthy chunk of money. So this all comes down to the relationship. You've got to look at their track record. And it's only as enforceable as that, as I was saying. Anyway, yeah, do you want to answer the first?
There's no track for amnesia, unfortunately.
Yeah, do you want to go over the first two questions?
It goes back to what we said earlier. You need to remember that it's, as I said earlier, people are allowed to buy the product, in Europe and resell it on Amazon as long as it's the original product. So what you need to make sure, try and make sure is that all the people and distributors selling in Europe will at least sign, have a clause that say that they do not sell it to Amazon sellers. So for example, if I'm a European brand, okay, I have distributors in France, in Germany, and Italy, okay? I will try and have each of the distributors, the one in Italy, France, and Germany, sign a contract that they will not knowingly sell it to Amazon sellers. So of course it doesn't block anyone, but I spoke with several distributors saying, listen, I have that clause in my contract, but there's a large Amazon seller coming to me and asking for, to buy product. What should I do? I feel very uncomfortable with it. So at least they'll feel uncomfortable, and you'll filter some of them, okay? Not all of them, but you'll filter some of them. There's also the map that you can have, like maximum advertising price, so the price can play there. So there are those kind of contracts that you can have. There are several ways. None of them are 100%. You can also use the transparency program if that's a small brand, so that you'll have the track of who's selling what. But otherwise, stopping unauthorized seller is hard. So exclusivity on Amazon is not always something that's enforceable, unfortunately.
Okay.
Exclusive, by the way, is also a word that you should not use on complaints. Not exclusive and not unauthorized. And
let's clarify gated, because everyone thinks that you can just go and get your products gated, and it's very, very rare that happens. I spoke to James Thompson, who was one of he pretty much set up FBA, right? So he runs the Prosper Show, and he only knows of 6 cases where gated happened, and generally that's especially in around children and safety and a handful of other products that no one else should be selling because it'd be dangerous. Therefore, they were gated. But there's that misconception that get brand registry,
get gated. I had so many people asking me, I'll pay you 20 grand, please gate my brand. So it's not how it works. I only know one private label of our firm that got the brand gating. It was for a while. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. There was some time where we could do it. And, we filed one, and then they closed that gating thing. There are brands that are gated, but larger brands, and usually it comes after a fight. So what happens is that they sue Amazon, and they tell Amazon, you haven't been able to protect my brand on Amazon. Please remove all the counterfeit, and please gate my brand. And that, in many cases, Amazon says, okay, I cannot control the counterfeit. I will get the brand. But otherwise, for private labels and small brands, they won't do it. There's no such a thing. You can't go to Amazon and ask them to gate it. It's not working.
Yeah. Lisa asks, how do you file a counterclaim?
So if you Google DMCA counterclaim, you'll see the actual text that you need to include, and you complete with the details of the complainant, the complaint number, your details. You sign it, you put your address, and then you send it to Amazon, and that's about it. To counter notice at Amazon.com. So it's pretty simple, and it takes maybe a day, and it takes 14 days until you're reinstated. But it will take you just an hour to prepare it.
Excellent. Juan says, you guys are the best. Thanks, Danny McMillan and Yao. Awesome advice as always. Very much appreciated. We appreciate you, my friend. Stephen says, in reality, does transparency program help reduce or completely eliminate hijackers and fraudulent sellers?
So it really helps. It's not 100% bulletproof. I know of several ways to bypass it because I've seen it, but I'm not going to tell them. So there are ways to go around it, but most of the sellers won't bother. So I would think 95% of the cases, transparency program is great.
Yep. What else have we go? Just before we go, Herb said, great advice. Thank you. Great topic, Danny and Yale. Thank you very much. Yelchin says, thank you. I'm going to quickly go through what we've got coming up this week. So tomorrow we got Shopify Part 4. So Joe Reichel will be back, and so will Miro as well. We'll be discussing there a lot more on-page stuff and some more technical information in around the comparison of versus your Amazon listing than on-page on your own website. Then Friday, the 8th, I will have Steve Simonson back for another Awesomers versus Seller sessions. We've got something cooking up in the lab there. We're going to be talking about systems on building systems, which is at large scale. Then Saturday, the 9th, we've got Women of Amazon, an in-depth profile with Michelle Venton. Sunday, the 10th of May, is Mindset Sunday, Law of Attraction and Pay It Forward. We're covering this week, me and Leanne Hirschgorn. Yao, do you would like to have a little chat about what you're going to be doing at Branded by Women?
Yeah, so we're going to go and get into details of each, IP part, copyrights, patent, trademarks, etc. And we're going to explain exactly how to avoid violations on Amazon. I'm actually going to show you how to do a patent search, to make sure that your product is not patented by someone else. That's a question, we get every week. So I'm trying to, show like a do-it-yourself patent search, a basic one. So that's more or less what we're going to do, so that you'll avoid all those suspensions, hopefully, after you see the presentation.
Excellent. And just to let you know, I've just posted the link in the chat there, brandedbywomen.com. Go and get a free ticket. It's open to both men and women. Men will learn a lot from this event as well, especially when it comes to branding, packaging, women's approach to copywriting. There's a lot of stuff in there that I've learned about, which, so go check that out. We do have upgraded tickets, which will have lifetime access. But why I'm bringing that up at the moment is because anyone who's listening now on the podcast, the replay, or anyone else, I want to give away free upgraded lifetime tickets to frontline people like the NHS and carers and stuff like that, because I'm keen for helping them get from one career to another. They might have a flair for copywriting, branding, etc., and may not want to do this anymore if they've got a young family at home. So anyone out there who works for the NHS, I'll be giving free upgraded passes. We're going to sign off in a moment. Just lead last comments here is Stephen says, this is a great discussion. I appreciate it. Cy said, lockdown legends. It's day 42, Cy. The beard's getting longer. Henrietta says, thank you. Sharon says, Danny, well done for the consistency and energy. Yao, you have rocked it. I think that's about it, really. What's the best way that they can reach you, Yao?
You can reach me through Facebook, just by pressing my profile or by email, yael@ekabili.com.
Excellent. Guys, have a wonderful day. Stay home, stay safe. Much love. Protect your family. I'll see you back here 4 p.m. BST. Much love. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.